lost trapped in your world, losing gravity. It's a big mistake for a good damn boy like me. You know, hey, I'm out of this. You took my loneliness away. I'm not again.
Hello. Hopefully today I will manage to record a video about the last days of my reportage and the little adventure, of course. So I'll go straight to the point because as Murphy law says, something will interrupt me along the way. From town of Kruševac, I went up north straight to town of Kragujevac. Kragujevac is very important historically important for the country of Serbia, but I will focus just to the era of World War II. Why is it so significant, especially for that period of time for this country? Because it was the only city, and Serbia was the only country where occupying forces, German forces, were executed civilians deliberately. Back in 1941, the partisan forces gave a lot of headache to the Germans because they sabotaged their supply lines, the railroad tracks. They even made military raids on warehouses, on patrols, and they had a lot of success. So the German officer made a decree that for every killed German soldier in those raids, they will execute 100 civilians. And for every wounded soldier, they will execute 50 civilians. It was the 21st of October back in 1941. The German forces gathered several thousand civilians for the execution in the place called Šumarice in the town of Kragujevac. They couldn't find enough grown men, so they also brought a fifth graders of elementary school. I believe it was the most horrific moments, one of the most horrific moments in the World War II, coming from the German side, that they actually did execute children that was going to the fifth grade. Their school teacher also voluntarily stood with his class and got executed that time. I will leave the link so you can go there and read the full story, because that memorial park is very, very big and have a lot of monuments dedicated to the certain points, and you can find all of them in on that link in that I will post in the description. I arrived at the parking lot in front of the museum. The museum, of course, was closed, so that was my luck, right? Wherever I go, wherever there is a museum, I couldn't enter it because it was closed. Only exception was in Bihać, but only because of photographer from Bihać, Izet Cijemhodžić, talked with the people who work there and they allowed me to enter. The weather threatened to become awful. So from the parking lot I started riding, and it is a long ride. It is a one-way road that goes in the circle around the memorial park. My first stop is at the place where those children were executed. When you see it from the road, it is not the V as victory, it is the shape of Roman number 5 that represents the grade that children that was executed were going to. When you look at a monument from the distance, you can see like texture on the surface of it. But when you approach a little bit and pay attention a bit more, you can see silhouettes of the shapes engraved in the stone, in the concrete, that actually represents the children. You can see the hands and you can see the faces. I took one picture that reminded me of the famous photo like Face from Mars. That's why I named in the photo reportage, in the text, that day the face from Mars. From that monument, the road leads later to the stone flower. When you go further, you get to that monument called 100 for 1. The monument looks like a tree, but actually those branches are not branches, they are hands and legs of the people, and their heads are made in the center of that monument. That monument is a reminder for that degree of the German officer who actually did execute 100 civilians for one German soldier killed. The rain started to fall a little bit stronger, so I couldn't risk to stay there. I took a few photos, and at one point, like my battery was dead, so I had to change the battery very quickly to take a few more photos, and I just packed and go straight towards the beginning of the memorial park where the museum is. I managed to take a few more photos of that area, and I just had to move along. My friends from my hometown contact me to see where I'm currently at, and we kind of agreed to meet at the town of Sopot so we can all go to visit the monument at the mountain of Kosmaj, which is very close to our hometown. That was the first day after almost 2 weeks that I had a real proper strong food. So we ate lamb, like roasted lamb, some of course salad, etc., potatoes, and it was really, really relaxing to have it, finally to have some proper strong meal. After that, we went to Marko's place, which is on the halfway to the monument. So of course we went there. We had a bit of rakia, a bit of snacks, and domestic juice, cherry juice, which was really, really great. So we talked about pretty much everything. We talked about motorcycles, my reportage, the roads where I drove, like plans for other trips, shorter and longer, etc. And at one point, that rain that came from down south catch me at Marko's place. So at first moment it was like a few drops, and then we saw like a dark gray cloud coming straight at us. So obviously, because it was coming from the direction of Mountain Kosmaj, there is no way we will go there during that weather conditions. So we entered the garage. We used the moment to adjust rear suspension for the Marko's motorcycle, Africa Twin, and we stayed there, but the rain was pretty persistent. It was already dark and the night fell. Uroš and I we sat on the bikes during the night, during the strong rain, and just rode back to Belgrade. It was really crazy of us because it was pouring. We managed to get to the highway, and on the highway we just followed the truck that had like reflection lights on the trailer, and he was going pretty fast for a truck, so we kind of just stayed in the line behind him, so because the rain was so strong, we couldn't see the road very clearly. It was dark and everything, so we followed that truck, and luckily for us he was going through the Belgrade. But the time we get to the Belgrade, the rain almost stopped. And on the traffic light, I remember Uroš and I just laughed our asses off, and we was thinking, what a crazy ride. That was like the craziest ride of our lives. After that, I went straight back home. I went to the bed with a feeling that I skipped one monument, which looks great, and I decided tomorrow from my home that I will go to the mountain of Kosmaj and visit the monument that I called the Crown of the Witch King. And it does look like a crown of the Witch King. But I guess you'll have to wait for a next video to see how that monument really looks. And yeah, I guess this is the end of almost the last day of the reportage.
I'm not a game in your way.